Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of This Is Me Trying with Emily Weaver. I'm your host, Emily, and I am so happy that you're here. I just want to thank you so much for everyone who listened to last week's episode. It truly means the world to me. I can't thank you enough. This has just been such a fun experience so far, and just seeing all your DMs, seeing all your story posts really means the world to me. It made my week so absolutely amazing, and I can't believe that so many of you listened. That was absolutely crazy and totally unexpected, so thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I just wanted to say that now I have uploaded This Is Me Trying to a whole bunch of platforms. We have it on Spotify, which most of you are listening on. We also have it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. And it is now also on YouTube. There's no video yet, but you can listen to the audio through YouTube. Also, if you don't have any subscriptions, YouTube and iHeartRadio are free to listen through. So those are great options if you don't have Spotify or Apple. So thank you so much for listening, and I'm so happy you're here again this week. This week we're going to be talking about goals for the new year, vision boarding, manifesting, motivation, and how to make your dream life come true. I feel like January is very much a time of like people wanting to reinvent themselves, people wanting to kind of come up with brand new ideas about what they want for their life, what they want to look like, how they want to act, kind of what habits and goals they want. And I think all of that is really great, but I also just want to preface all of this that like, if you're going into January and you're just like, December was absolutely fucking crazy and I don't even want to think about my New Year's resolutions, I don't even want to think about my New Year's goals, that is absolutely fine too. But I feel like there's really this like capitalist push in January that is so weird every single year of like, December is like, eat every single thing you've ever thought of. Drink as much alcohol as possible. Be lazy and sit on the couch and like snuggle up and like bundle up. It's cold outside. And then the second it turns to January, it's like, oh, how about you do dry January? And how about you do 75 hard? And how about you jump on some fitness grind and get your diet in check? And like, it's like, just because the date change on the calendar does not mean you need to like reinvent yourself. But it also can be motivating as the start of a new year to set some different goals for yourself. And so I don't think you have to go to the extreme of jumping on some like crazy trend just because it hit January. But if you're thinking maybe this is a good time for you to think about your goals, to think about your mindset, to think about what you want in life, then that's kind of what this episode's going to be about. So if that sounds good to you, I'm going to get into it. And I hope that there's things that you can take away from it, even if maybe goal setting isn't necessarily your thing, or if maybe vision boarding isn't necessarily your thing, or manifesting. I feel like there's things that people can get out of this, regardless of kind of where they're coming to this podcast today from. But yeah, I think I'll start by talking about my goals for 2024 and what I have on my mind. And then we'll kind of talk about goal setting and how I kind of came up with these goals. So my first goal for 2024 is that I want to commit more time per week to friend dates and to hang out with my friends. I feel like there's this point where every girl in their 20s kind of gets to where you're like, I don't really see my friends as often as I did when I was in school. We don't live close anymore. And I don't really know what activities to do anymore. Like, they're not down the hall from me in my dorm. They're not in the same like neighborhood as we were in school. And now we're like, at least me and my friends, we're spread all the way across the city. And so for us to get together, it like pretty much everyone's committing 45 minutes to hang out. And so it's like, that's not as easy as it like used to be. And so I'm really trying to commit more time this year to making intentional friend dates and like to booking them and having like weekly friend dates with my friends, because I really like, I can go weeks without seeing my friends and then I'm like, when was the last time I hung out with anyone? And it's like, I'm really trying to get a lot better at that and like putting myself out there. So this week, to counteract that goal, I have last night I went out for drinks with my coworkers, which was really fun. Tonight I'm going to a Taylor Swift craft night. And then on Thursday I'm going out and getting like a belated birthday treat time with my other friend. So I think that's 3 friend dates for the week. So that's kind of a lot. And I saw a lot of my girlfriends on the weekend as well for my birthday. So we're starting off well with that one. My next goal, which I already completed, was I got a new job. That was definitely a big goal I had for myself for 2024 when I was thinking in December about what I wanted to do in the new year. And I just felt like I was looking for new things in kind of all aspects of my life. And one of them happened to be I was really looking for a permanent job. And I loved the last job that I was working, but it wasn't permanent. It was always going to be a contract. And so I was like, I've really been looking for something permanent, and I was able to find a permanent job, and it's in my field, and it's very exciting. So that was something that's, already checked off my to-do list for this year, but was definitely a big goal I was thinking about going into 2024. Another goal I have is getting up earlier and setting a realistic morning routine from my work from home days. At this point, I'm working from home about 3 days a week and then 2 days in office. And so on the days where I'm working from home, I'd love to have a more consistent morning routine, and I'd love to have more of a earlier morning routine. I want to get up earlier so I have more time before I start work, because when you work from home, you have the luxury of not having to commute. I want to do something with the time that I would be using on the days when I commute to work. For me right now, I'd really like to use that time to get up early, walk to the gym, go to the gym, and come home and then be able to still have time to get ready before work. I feel like sometimes I wake up with an hour before work starts, and that still sounds like a lot, but then by the time I get ready and I have breakfast, it's like work has already started. And so I just want to give myself more time in the morning, especially when it's like a luxury that I get to not have to commute to work some days. And kind of going off of that goal, we have that I really want to be my strongest version of myself this year. This is not a weight related goal or a kind of toxic fitness goal. It's just generally that I really, really want to be my strongest, fittest version of myself this year. I feel like after finishing a dance program, it's so hard to get that same level of exercise and fitness level that I was at before. And so I'm kind of trying to figure out what a realistic version of that is for me now. And so another kind of additional goal to that is that I really want to run a half marathon this year, and I am going to in May. And so for me to be able to do that, I have to be my strongest, fittest version of myself. And so to kind of move that forward, I got a gym membership at the beginning of January, and I have been able to go to the gym actually a lot in the last 2 weeks since I got my membership. I've actually been having a lot of fun at the gym. I have never had a gym membership before. I have only done studio-based classes, but it's actually been really fun to just go there and run on the treadmill or lift weights. And my boyfriend has also been doing it with me as well, which has been super fun. So we both got memberships and we've been going on some days together. So that's been super fun. But I do also want to build my confidence in the gym. I want to start being able to use some of the machines. Right now I've just been doing a lot of free weights and treadmill, but I'm really excited to kind of branch out and try a lot of the machines. So that's also on my goals. Another goal that I have is a reading related goal. I want to read 12 books this year, and I know that might not sound like a huge amount of books, but last year I read 5 books, and so I kind of over the last year got back into reading. Since high school I haven't really read much unless it was a required reading for a course, because you just don't have time. But now I'm really trying to implement reading back into my daily routine. and I want to read a book a month for the entire year. And I feel like this will actually be attainable this year. I thought I would do it last year, and then that just absolutely didn't happen. So I am really excited to kind of get back into reading and read some really good books this year. I also got a Kobo for Christmas, and so I've been venturing into the e-reader territory. I got a library card for the first time as an adult, and it's just been great. I really like the experience. Obviously, I love holding a physical book, but I do really love reading on my Kobo. It's just so easy to use, and it's super portable. So I can like bring it in my backpack to work, and it doesn't like take up a huge amount of space. So I'm really enjoying it. My next thing is that I want to invest in my hobbies and connect with other people who like the same hobbies. So I know like a lot of people, for example, who like crochet, like to do like, I think they call it like stitch and bitch, where it's like people who crochet, they get together in like a cafe or something and then just like crochet for like an hour. I'd like to start doing that kind of things for my own hobbies, or like do like reading nights or do like crafting nights. I've had a couple of those with my friends and they were like super fun. So I'm kind of hoping to integrate more of that into my life, or to host more events or like host more friend gatherings that are surrounding kind of our hobbies. Another one around kind of hobbies is I want to participate in a run club this year. As I'm running this half marathon and training for this half marathon, I really want to kind of tap into the running community. As of right now, like the only time I've kind of seen the running community is when I've been at races, but I'm really excited to join a run club and kind of like get in there with people and like actually get to go running with people. I think that'll be really fun this year to keep my motivation up and like run with other people. Another goal I had for 2024 was to start this podcast. So we're here. We made it. It happened. I just like had this idea for December that I just really wanted to make this happen, and I really wanted to launch it in January. And that happened. We made it happen. And yeah, just thank you so much for listening again. And then my last goal that I have on my list is that I want to work on my financial literacy and create savings and investing accounts. So that's kind of like, it feels like a big girl goal. But I feel like it's like the perfect time in my life right now to like start thinking about saving and investing. And I feel like the sooner you figure those things out, the easier it is in the long run. So those are my goals for this year. I have 2 books that I really want to read this year on personal finances, and those books are Financial Feminist by Tori Dunlap and Keeping Finance Personal by Elise Fulmore. Elise's book comes out, I think, at the end of this month or the end of January if you're not listening right now, but I'm excited to read both of their books because they give a different perspective from what a lot of personal finance books tend to be about, and like the narrative they tend to tell. Like there's so many finance books out there that basically shame people for not making enough money, or shame people for like not having saved yet or not having it all together, even though the purpose of reading a financial book is like to learn about finances. So I don't know. It's also by a lot of white men, so they don't really understand what's going on anyway, because I mean, it just in general, they're not super socially in touch. And also these are books from like the 80s. So there's a lot has happened since then. Anyway, these 2 books kind of break down the patriarchy and like how that impacts women and how that impacts our saving and investing and all these kind of narratives that, especially as women, we're told about our finances. Anyway, but these books sound really exciting, and I'm very excited to read them. I follow both of these people on Instagram, and they both have books. So that kind of wraps up what I'm thinking about as my 2024 goals. I feel like that's like a pretty robust list, but I think it's also things that I've had on my mind for a long time. And so I'm excited to kind of work through these different goals as we kind of go through the year. Next, kind of want to talk about goal setting and how I kind of came up with these goals. I think in terms of mindset, the number one thing I'm thinking about is reframing I have to with I want to or I get to. That's like the one thing that like basically gets me out of the bed every single day is like you have to reframe this idea that like I have to do something with the idea of like I want to or I get to do this. Like for example, if it's like going to the gym, you can say I have to go to the gym. That's fine. But that's not necessarily going to get you to the gym. The idea of I want to go to the gym is very different than I have to. And the idea of I get to is also different. I get to exercise. I get to go to the gym. I have the means to go to the gym and I have a body that lets me exercise. Those are very different mindsets from like, I have to go to the gym. It's just like a different framework to run your brain through when you're like, do I really want to do this? And if it's a yes, then it is an I want to do this and I get to do this versus I have to do this. Because I think when you think of like, I have to do this, it sounds like someone else is telling you you have to do something. And that's like not gonna get you to the gym, or that's not gonna make you read 12 books this year, or that's not gonna get you to work on your personal finances. It's like that is a very different statement from like, I want to read 12 books this year. If I want to do something, I'm gonna do it. So I think that's kind of what I'm like trying to frame my goals around is like, I want to do these things, and so I'm going to do these things. And it kind of ties into like motivation as well, of this idea of like, if you're motivated, you'll do it. Except motivation dies almost instantly. The second that you pick a goal, your motivation is almost always dead. And there are some days where you're going to feel extremely motivated and you're going to feel like super excited to take on the day. But on the flip side, most days I do not wake up with that level of motivation. And so the thing that actually comes ahead of motivation is consistency. And being consistent with your goals, being consistent with your mindset actually trumps motivation. And so if you're consistent and you build these habits into your routine, they just become things that you do and you don't need to think about doing them. Like for example, if it's always your habit to wake up at 7:30 and you always get right out of the bed at 7:30 and you go brush your teeth, I think the first day you decide to do it, it'll be easy because you're like, made this goal, done, crushed it. Day 2, a little bit harder. Day 3, you're like, absolutely not. Not gonna do it. I'm gonna sleep in until 8, put the snooze back on. But if on day 3, instead of doing that, you actually challenge yourself to get out of bed and brush your teeth right immediately, that actually trains your brain to understand that that is something that you do. And the longer that you do these things and the more consistent you are with your goals, the more they just become habits. And they just become things that you do without thinking and just part of your daily life. So those are kind of some mindsets that I'm bringing into my goal setting. And I think they help kind of frame how I want to look at my goals. The next thing I want to talk about, and it relates to goal setting and everything, is vision boarding. And I truly believe that vision boarding works. I absolutely love vision boarding every single year. I've done it like for the last, I guess, like 3 or 4 years. And I always do it in January. And a lot of times I've actually done it on like New Year's Eve or like the day before New Year's when you're like so excited about the new year. But this year I did mine a little bit later into January because I feel like, life happens. And I feel like in terms of vision boardings, the thing that I love the most about them is that you get to be aspirational, you get to dream big, and you get to romanticize your life. And you just get to figure out what you want, but it doesn't have to be like literal. You're using pictures or you're using words. You're kind of combining all this stuff together to kind of create a picture of what you want versus actual like tangible ways that you're going to accomplish these goals. For me, I have done physical vision boards for the last couple of years. This year is my first time creating a digital vision board, and I love both for very different reasons. You can kind of create a physical vision board, or the way that I create it is I kind of get like a large piece of cardstock, and then I get a whole bunch of magazines or like newspapers or stickers and markers, and I just kind of cut out all of the things that I feel like resemble the goals that I've come up for this year, or things that I want to aspire to. And I kind of cut out all of those things, or cut out quotes that I really like, or piece together articles, and then I put them all together on this board, and then I put that somewhere where I can see it. And I feel like physical vision boards are really cool because you can maybe have like a vision boarding party where you invite everybody over and you get all the materials out, and then you just get to like cut and paste together. I think that's really fun. Or you can just like, they're physical, so you can hang them up on your wall, or you can put them in a frame and you can hang them somewhere, and you can just like have that as a reminder of what you were looking at in January. This year I decided to actually go digital because I didn't have any magazines lying around that I wanted to cut up. And I was just kind of like, this year I just don't really want to buy all the magazines. I don't really want to go out right now. And so I decided to actually just make a digital one on Canva. If you don't use Canva, it's great. It's free. You can just make an account and then you can upload photos to it, which is awesome. You can go on there, and I then go on Pinterest and I go and search up all these different words relating to my goals or different quotes for different things. And then I download all those photos and then upload them into Canva. Once I'm in Canva, then I can kind of like place them around and figure out how I want it to look. And I kind of make a bit of a collage with it. And then when I'm on Pinterest, I can search up quotes like quotes for change or quotes for the new year or things like that. And then I just like, again, upload the quote pictures into Canva. And then I normally put my quotes on the top so I can read them. And I also picked to set this as my desktop background after I'm finished making it, because then I can keep it on my laptop or my desktop when I'm working at it. And every single time I log onto my computer in the morning, I can just see it there. And it's really fun to do that this year because I feel like there's like some things on there that just like every time I see it, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Like, that's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm excited about. And I feel like it's just like a great reminder to then like bring your goals throughout the year and not just like feel all this pressure to have all of your goals finished by like January 31st. Like, you have the entire year, and that's why I like keeping it as my background, because I'm like, I can remember these all year long, and then once it comes to 2025, I can make a whole new vision board and make it as my desktop background for next year. I'll also tell you some things that are on my 2024 vision board because they're like slightly different from like what my goals are, because it's a little bit more aspirational. It's a little bit more like big picture thinking. Some of those things I have are I have lots of pictures of like dinner parties and like friend dates and like pottery nights and painting nights and like those things. I know I talked about wanting to do more friend dates at the beginning, but kind of like dinner parties is very much my niche. And so I want to really do more of that this year. Another thing I have on here that like wasn't a goal I had because I just know it's going to happen, but it's that I'm traveling this year, and I'm really excited because I haven't been on a trip in a while. And in February, my boyfriend and I are going to Montreal for 4 days, and that's going to be so much fun. We have so many fun plans, and we're just like so excited to finally be taking a trip together. And then also I'm going to be going to Amsterdam with my mom sometime in the fall of this year. So that's really exciting. We haven't really started planning that trip because it's like so far out at this point, but we're really excited to go to Amsterdam, and we're just gonna like spend a week there and have so much fun. I also obviously said I want to do more reading. So I have pictures of like books and cozy blankets and, you know, just like getting cozy and reading a good book and just like the vibes that I want to encapsulate while I'm reading. I also have photos of like really good food. My favorite food is fish tacos. If you know, you know. And so I have pictures of fish tacos and some other really good food on here. I also have pictures of like being outside and nature, and I really want to do more of that this year. I feel like Toronto in the summer is just like the absolute best place to be. Like there's just so much to do. I feel like we suffer through the winters every single year. And then once it becomes like May, the entire city is somehow outside. And I just am very excited to like spend the summer outdoors and like get to do more of that this year. Then I also have pictures of like running in the gym, and I have some pictures of people in races because, again, I'm running a race in May. And so I'm like really excited about kind of the race vibes. I just feel like there's nothing really like it. And I can't even explain it, of like coming from like basically like a non like athletic girl. Like, again, I've been like a dancer my entire life. And that's just like a different breed than being like a student athlete or anything like that. And so I'm just like, the vibes of like being at a start line for a race, I'm like, I didn't even expect that to ever happen in my life. So I'm just like so excited about that. So I put lots of like race line photos and stuff. And then I also have 2 pictures of puppies on my vision board because this is the year that my boyfriend and I are gonna get a puppy, and I'm just like absolutely over the moon. And if you know me, you know how big of a deal this is. I have never had a dog before, and I have always wanted a dog since like absolutely forever. I've just absolutely always wanted a dog, and we are gonna get a little Australian Labradoodle, and I'm just like so excited about it. So that'll be happening later in the year, probably past the summer at some point. We will actually like move forward with getting a dog, but it's kind of TBD because there's lots of like wait lists and stuff that we have to be a part of. So I'm just excited for that whole process. And yeah, we're just very, very excited about getting a dog and bringing a little puppy into our family. It's gonna be such a big part of the year. I'll also tell you what quotes I have on my vision board because I mentioned that I like to add quotes. So the quotes I have on my vision board this year are: believe you can and you're halfway there. Less scrolling, more living. I really like that because I feel like this year I'm really trying to beat my phone addiction. And I know that like every person basically my age has a phone addiction. And I know that like so many people I talk to are just like, how do I scroll less? How do I just like get off social media? And I am really working this year to like try to give myself more phone detoxes and like still stay connected to people, but also like not be randomly scrolling on my phone all the time. And so I like having that as a mantra on my laptop at all times. I also have one that says a new era of me. I just like this. I mean, it's always just fun going into a new year with a new era. You don't necessarily know what that era is gonna be, and so I think that's also really fun. And like it's cool to like reflect back to like 2023 me at the beginning of that year, like just how I had no clue most of the things that happened this year would even happen. I've just done so much cool stuff this year that I never would have envisioned happening, and so I'm excited for this like new era of me to be this year, and like I'm just excited to go with the flow and see what happens. I also have a quote that says your voice is your superpower. It's just a nice reminder of like I have things to say and like people want to hear from me, and you know, people are excited to chat with me about this, and I hope that I can kind of make this like an exciting community that people are a part of, and that again, like I can have guests on here and we can hear from other people's perspectives about like what they're trying to do, how the 20s are working out for them. And I'm just very excited about that for this year. And then the last quote that I have on my vision board this year is, my financial future is secure. And I think for anyone in their 20s, like money is like a big topic. And in a lot of our 20s, we have money, we lose money, we're, you know, in different jobs, we're in different economic statuses, we're, you know, in a cost of living crisis right now. And I just like the idea that my financial future is secure, and especially with this idea of like being more financially literate, like I want to make sure that that is actually a possibility for me, and starting now on my like research journey about finances, I feel like that's really important to me to start now. So that's kind of all that I have on my vision board for this year. I think it's kind of exciting to just like have all these goals and ideas for yourself. And again, just a reminder to like not be hard on yourself during all of this. Like, these are aspirational things. And again, like, you don't need to get all of these things done in January. Like, you can pick a couple goals per month, or you could pick a couple goals per day. Like you don't need to transform your entire life overnight, and you can slowly implement working on these goals one after another. And so I try to like think of these goals as kind of overarching ideas versus like things I have to get done every single day. And I feel like that helps me actually accomplish my goals over just feeling burnt out and feeling like I'm expecting too much of myself. And with that, that is the end of our episode for this week. Thank you so much for being here for week 2. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so excited for you to hear next week's episode. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at thisismetrying_pod. Again, my name is Emily, and I'm so happy to have you here. And again, just a reminder that now you can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. So wherever you're listening today, thank you, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.